this is our fraction puzzle. And you guys can definitely make this on a smaller poster board. You don't need something quite as big. Yeah. It was like super folded and I wrapped it the other way and it just wasn't good. So you can make this a little bit smaller if you want to. I would recommend using a template to cut out your pieces with though. So that way you make sure that they're actually the right size. All Children's House classrooms have metal insets for the fraction insets. That's what I'm looking for. And you can use those to trace the pieces that you need. I use these with felt, but you could certainly, like some of the other activities that we have, you could make them from cardstock, trace them and cut them out that way and laminate them. But felt was something a little different than what we have for the other things. I thought it was kind of fun. So this is basically just a puzzle that you're matching pieces to in the beginning. You mix them all up and have the child tray.
So, if they're not understanding it, can you make each one a different color? Or do you want to keep them all the same color?
You could, if you had students who were interested in the concept
But
but
just
were
can't
struggling.
get it. Yeah.
Sure, you could do that.
And so then if they got it from the different colors, then could you reintroduce this to see if they got it?
Sure.
Okay.
So you could do that. There are several things that you can use to work on fractions. You could even borrow the fraction Skittles from one of the Children's House classrooms. Actually, I meant to grab a set so you guys could see. This set is missing some pieces, which is why it's down here. These are the fraction Skittles. Actually, I think these are from different sets. Yeah, because there's 2/3 on here. These aren't halves, otherwise it'd be perfect. Supports. But there are, these are called Skittles. And you could, if you're one of your Children's House rooms wouldn't mind you borrowing it, you could make a chart like this. And then compare them with the physical pieces. And so you have your whole, your half, and your thirds. It's just a sensorial manipulation and basically a puzzle in the beginning. You don't really focus on the vocabulary. We have the fractions listed here just as a framework. So a lot of the beginning math activities that we have the numbers on the pieces of paper, but you don't really reference them much. So you can, once a child has worked with it for a while and understands how to put them together, you can introduce the terms. So we have whole, half, third. And when you introduce those, I'll go back to my pieces here since they actually fit. So we have one whole, 1, 2 halves, 1, 2, 3 thirds. And so that's where you can add counting into there as well, just adding the basic terms.
Do you do this for twos, do you think? Or do you think maybe just something more like this would be better for them?
You could do this for twos. I mean, it's just a basic puzzle. So one of, kind of like one of our picture puzzles, kind of like those. So you could definitely do it with them, and like I said, you can make this smaller if you don't want like this huge poster board. And and then the fraction Skittles can go along with that. If you do the fraction Skittles, I think it would be helpful to have the picture to go with it, rather than just the pieces themselves.
So just like this, where for the half we would draw a line across it?
Yeah. And just trace your pieces and
How
mark
do you
them.
lose these?
Maybe they broke.
Right, like stuck
at the end
into
of it,
it.
yeah. And then there's lots of puzzles that you can use that introduce this concept too. This one's obviously a little bit more complicated because there's several different pieces, but it has the half, or the whole, the half, and the third components on there. So you're seeing how you can divide shapes into multiple pieces.
Only those were 3 different puzzles.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You could just, which you could. I mean, you could just use the pieces and make your own little strips rather than having them in an inset.
Yeah,
that might
that's
actually
true.
be easier because then you could show them how to fit together. So if you had pieces like
Yeah.
this, instead of using like felt, you could use real pieces. And this is actually a mismatched set anyway, so.
Yeah. That makes sense. I was like, if
Somebody
we
wants
said
to
that in
use
our
them.
classroom, that would go insane.
Yeah,
like if
there's
it
too many
was just the
pieces.
3, like that would work.
Isolation of difficulty, people. You'll notice when you learn more about Montessori, toy manufacturers kind of drive you nuts because
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
take that into consideration. They're
Yeah.
usually like just overstimulating, too many different things going on. I mean, even these, it would be better if like these were all different colors like you were suggesting.
Yeah.
So rather than having 2 different colors within the same piece, if this whole thing was red, so you could match
Yeah.
the different
Like-
segments together. And then you can do other activities, cutting. You could do cutting bread, so you cut it in half, different things like that. You can just incorporate in the terminology of half and whole.